Hello. Um, so I want to open it up. We got done just a smidge earlier than I thought, but that's okay. I wanted to open it up to people for a spy back.
Wonderful. For this portion of our class, we're going to have everybody go back to, sorry, never mind what I just was about to say. We're going to have everybody look down to the bottom. You're going to see your participants button. When you click on that, if you look to the right, you should see a button that says raise hand. That's going to help me and Susan parse out who would like to contribute next so that I can spotlight your video with a question. If you are having trouble finding your raise hand button, you can find me in the chat, or you can just ask your question in the chat and Susan can answer it from there. Okay, it looks like Dan Hendrock has a question, so I'm going to take it over to him.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
My question is about beauty. I know that it's always the most elusive and it's so abstract as to find a precise meaning. And I guess that's kind of beautiful in itself. But I teach high schoolers, and when I teach the four brothers, they always are confused. So I was wondering if anybody has the way, or you, Susan, I like how you said intuitive is a really nice way, but a succinct way to make young people understand the concept of beauty.
Not, I don't want to call the man out, but the way that they're listed in the book, which is ease, form, beauty, and entirety, lends itself to, I think, at least in our society, a problem. I think that people, at least I have, and I think other people have, had a better time understanding if you do maybe entirety before beauty. Because I think a lot of times we don't understand that the experience can be the beautiful thing as well, like the entirety and the ease and the form. I feel like that's a little bit more of the summation. I see Kathy's going, I don't know if that's true.
No.
But it's very elusive and it's hard, especially in today's society where we always kind of have a different idea of what beautiful means. Beauty. It's not beautiful, it's beauty. And I think that's the thing too, is that we're hung up on this word, what it means. But when I went back to the text, it just said, just do it. Let it be intuitive. Let it be instant, I think was the word he used. To not think what I want to make this beautiful, but whatever I do organically in the moment, if it's truthful, it's beautiful. That's my take.
Is it presence? Is that the word you're looking for?
Presence. Yeah. Kathy, do you want to weigh in on that?
Well, I think one of the things that has always helped me, and I don't know, Dan, whether you remember this, I have you in class a lot. But one of the things we talk about is the fact, and Chekhov talks about this in the text, is that nature has its own beauty and it doesn't strive to be beautiful. It simply is, because it is honest, it is open, it is authentic. A flower, I look around me when I get outside and walk, when it's not raining in Ohio, when I get outside and I walk and I see the daffodils and they're so bright and yellow and they stand up, and that's beautiful, but they're not trying to be beautiful because they simply are. I think human beings are beautiful simply because we exist. And I kind of agree with Susan that I think if we change the order a little bit about the way we teach the four brothers, then we can come to beauty on the backside and they understand it more. I think of it as authentic. I think of it as truthful. I think of it as honest behavior. We can play Iago and be beautiful, even though he is the character is portraying ugly emotions, he's doing ugly things. And I think the more examples you can find to use like that, sometimes it helps to give the student an image to hang on to.
This is a note from Jessie in the chat. She says, I remember that Mark used to say that beauty was always right on the edge of something fleeting. Transitions are beautiful. The sun right before it sets.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to say something, Susan, about the exercise. I'm tethered to my computer because I have to wear my headphones in order to be able to hear people. And so I was trying to do this exercise in my chair because we say we can teach Chekhov to anybody, right? So I was trying to do the exercise as though I were confined to a chair. And you know what? It works. It just worked beautifully. I could do the objects. I could move. I had mobility, at least in my upper half. I tried not to use my bottom half at all, as though I were confined to a chair. So and the images that you use, the flowers opening and the beautiful music that you use really enhanced the exercise. And I think enabled me to be able to experience it even seated in front of this silly computer screen.
That's really
So
great
thank you.
feedback. That's great. That's really, really great feedback. It's true. We should be able to teach this to anybody. Absolutely.
Melissa says in the chat, this beauty is a feeling from within, such an important distinction from the superficial. Outside beauty we're all familiar with.
Yeah.
Looks like Priscilla has a question. I'm going to go ahead and highlight her video.
Hello. It's not really a question. It was an observation. Unfortunately, I had to miss last year's consortium. So it's been a while since I've actually gone through all of this. But in the middle of it, I'm not sure where. I'm going to get verklempt again. It just comes over you by doing it. And it's just so amazing. I forgot how much joy is given by just doing these exercises. So that's all I wanted to say. It still works.
Well, and the fact that it's full bodied, it goes back to it awakens the will center, which then comes out as emotion. It's there. It's in the body. So being able to have that experience is, reawakening that whole process for you. And that's great. I think that I didn't get to meet you. Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
So 1 year I haven't been at GLMCC. So yeah. But that's really great. And I think that what that says to me is that you were really connected to your body. And that's fantastic.
Awesome. Oh, I am headed over to Julian.
Julian!
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for that. This is more of a spyback than really a question. I just, recently we've spent so little time sort of working on ourselves. It's more, I feel like everything I've been doing has been like for others, to make sure others are okay, be it my students or my family or my friends. And so I really had a sort of a resistance to getting into this, into your video, until when we started playing with the beauty, that section. And it was sort of, I think, the buildup of allowing myself to actually move and slowly, bit by bit, allowing sensation to build and a feeling of freedom, the feeling of ease. It didn't build during ease and it didn't build during form, but somehow when we started to get to the last two, it was nice to sort of feel the release of allowing yourself as an artist and a person to go to these places. And just realizing like, oh, I have some walls up to this work that I've built up over the last few months of not being able to really participate in it myself, of always sort of being the person instructing through a camera and hoping that somebody on the other side is getting it, rather than allowing myself to go there. That can be hard, allowing myself to go there when I'm so focused on the outside and others.
You said something. You said a word, catharsis. And Dan, going back to you, I think that's a lot. That's a great way of really explaining beauty. The having the ease and the form, ease plus form, was able to give Julian that catharsis he needed in order to reach that feeling of beauty.
Jim in the chat says, the key that unlocks beauty for my students is joy. Joy in the movement and being in the space. I'm not seeing any other raised hands here or anything in the chat, so this is kind of last call. But Susan, did you have something you wanted to wrap it all up with?
Oh, no, Sarah.
Just kidding. I've got Sarah.
Okay, I just raised my hand now. So no, I wanted to say just thank you again. I have been feeling the same thing where so much of my attention has been on directing and teaching, trying to communicate through this medium, and it was such a joy to get to reacquaint myself with why I love this work. Burnout is real, I feel, and this just sparked some stuff in me that I have been pushing down to kind of live my life in a way that is productive but not necessarily creative. And this just like, I feel like I'm gonna cry, which because it just, thank you. I just want to say thank you. I needed this, and it's so lovely to see everyone's faces. That's all.
Awesome. I'm going to send it over to Lavinia. Oh, hang on. You're muted, Lavinia. I'm unmuting you.
Can you hear me?
We can. You're a little glitchy, so just talk nice and slow.
Okay. I want to say this, that beauty, like the visual images that you showed us, Susan, is processed. So when your students are exploring beauty, they are they're on a journey to that form of full bloom. And when that moment happens in their journey, and it can't be predicted, you feel such freedom. And it's a gentle release. Like catharsis seems almost sharp to me, but it's knowing that when your exploration in process feels that sense of release of beauty, it's like the fullness of the bloom of the flower. It's so wonderful that Chekhov uses things from the natural world for us to explore, and that slow blooming flower is perfect for that quality.
All right. Thank you, Lavinia. I have another hand here over with Josephine. So Josephine, over to you. Oh, looks like you're still muted. I'll go ahead and unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
You're good.
Good. Susan, that was lovely. I just loved the flowers at the beginning, seeing them unfold, and it was just so much like the experience of moving. It's that slow unfolding. And I don't know if anyone else got this, but it really brought home for me that our creative space can be anywhere. It doesn't matter where we are. It's a willingness to go there and to be in the space and play, and we can do it anywhere. And it's really sort of affirming, I think, for everyone that has to work online at the moment, to know that your students are actually getting the feeling of the creative space. So thank you for that, Susan. It was lovely.
All right. That's what I have for hands. So Susan, I'm bringing it back to you. Oop, looks like you're muted.
I just want to thank everybody. You know, this is a brand new world we're living in. And I knew that I could count on you to really do the exploration, and it felt good. It felt good from my end to know that you were working. And I love hearing from you. I think it's fantastic, and I love the conversation, because, you know, I was thinking back to, you know, we've been taught the Four Brothers in so many different ways, but I'm thinking back and I'm like, how do I remember being taught the Four Brothers? And I realize it's always, at least the consortium, it's always through Mark and his balls. You know, so it's like, oh, right, well, we can't toss balls. That's not gonna happen. I mean, I think we could, but we can't. You know, we won't have the same experience. So, you know, I tried to think outside the box a little bit, and give an experience of still having an object. I felt like that was really important. I feel like having something that you could tangible, that you could really touch. And hopefully you felt the connection. No one really said anything, but you know, I was interested in a little bit of the connection that you had with your colleagues. It's hard, you know, and I don't know if some of you are going to stay online through the fall, but it's something we're all facing. How do we stay connected? How can we find that feeling of the whole? I think that of all the ones is probably the hardest for us right now. So, you know, as you continue to work, I think that this is an exercise that you can do anytime you want. You know, just pick up an object or two if you feel inspired, and play with it a little bit. Finding the four brothers, feeling bees, form, beauty, and the wholeness. And hopefully this isn't something we can come back to at some point. So thank you. Yeah, Kathy, did you want to say anything else?
Yes, that I hope to see you all tomorrow. We'll have the qualities of movement with the lovely Melissa Owens. And I just, it's the best part of my day. So thank you all very much.